What's up, everybody? It is the best night of the week. It's Tuesday. We are live, and it is the next show will be better. I swear I didn't forget the name. Something was happening with the timer, and it distracted me. And I was like, I see people in the chat, and then there's nobody watching, and I was just, and my playback camera was like not showing anything. So I was like, oh shit, did something get fucked up again? It's Tuesday night. It's the best night of the week. It's the next show will be better with me, Mandy. We are live from the Hickson Diaries. Welcome. First things first. My apologies if you hear a lot of background noise. I don't know what's going on with my neighbors that share this wall here in front of me, but they're being extra loud today. I think they have some company, and they're definitely like going in and out from the backyard. So there's lots of noise going on. So I apologize if there is any kind of background noise for y'all. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I can. A little distracting. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing really well. We have a good show. We are going to talk about some fun stuff that's happening in the US. We're going to talk about some documentaries that one documentary Netflix series in particular that I watched this weekend. We're also going to talk about my most epic sin that I have committed since I've been here in the UK, as I put a post out there to see if you guys have if you guys thought of it, or you guys had anything that you thought would be my nomination for the most epic sin. So we're going to go through some of that. And obviously your facts, chats, questions, comments, concerns, loves, and hates. I'll take it. It'll be okay. Because it's the best night of the week. What? Yeah. Let's see who's here. Because show only gets better when you guys are here. I mean, I do a pretty good job talking to myself, but it's much more fun having people respond. Usually. Diane is one of our members is here. Hello. Manny, who is another member, is here. Hello. Falco, how are you? Glad you could join us. Always happy to have you. Manny! Okay, so Manny every week in the chat and in almost all the comments and emails that he sends me puts Mandy like this, as if he's screaming. It is very, very endearing. So I do try to say it every time that I see your name, Manny. And now I even say it in my head when you leave it in the comments as well. Sometimes you do it like that in the comments, and I do it in my head in that same voice and volume. Mojin, hello, welcome. Piper's here this week. Yay, we missed you, Piper. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Lorraine is here this week as well. Missed her last week. Glad to have you as well. As always, we got, let's see, Mick MacArthur. Oh, hi, Disco. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Go take care of what you got to do. I hope everything is well. I'll touch base with you later. Piper says I got a dog on my shoulder, so I can't type much. Oh, so cute. I do find it endearing, Manny. I love it. It's very personal between you and me. Well, I don't know if you do it with other people. You probably do. But this is, I enjoy it. You're the only person who does something like that with me, at least on a regular basis. So yeah, I do find it endearing. Thank you. Yeah, everybody send good vibes out to Disco so that he can take care of what he's got to take care of. So flying solo tonight, but we'll see what happens. Forgive me, I did not have time to do my makeup. We had kind of a last minute dinner today, and I didn't get to freshen up or anything before the show. I'm sorry. So forgive me. I know you guys are cool, because this is the show. This is the stuff that's real, right? So Yeah, Piper, send us a picture. Let's see a picture of the dog if you don't mind. It's up to you, though. I'm not trying to force you or anything, but it'll be kind of cute to see. I did put a picture of my dog that I had in America up recently, but just saying. Yeah. So, we're gonna start with some American catfighting that's happening. So, for those of you who don't know, someone asked me to weigh in on this, so I thought I'd open the show with it. So there's a big cat fight going on right now in America between the president of the United States, Donald Trump, and one of his biggest donor, could be his biggest donors, Elon Musk. So Elon Musk donated like 300,000 or 3 million. It was a really large amount of money to Donald Trump's campaign as a campaign contribution, which in American English means bribe. And that's how he got to head up Doge. For those of you who don't know, Doge was a non-sanctioned, unofficial government organization that was supposed to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. And he basically just cut a whole bunch of people's jobs and fundings and things like that to try to save money. Well, apparently he's ruffled some feathers, and Trump's feathers particularly, and got kicked out. So, and he is not happy about it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like he got kicked out with nothing. Starlink, which is his Starlink is his internet company. SpaceX is his space program, right? So SpaceX got a big contract with the Department of Defense, and Starlink got some kind of big contract with like rural and possibly international internet monitoring or something like that. So it's not like he didn't get anything for his money or for his efforts, but apparently they're like in a big feud or something now, and it's been going back and forth. They're like fighting on all of the social media. Well, I think like Trump is putting posts out on Truth Social, which is his social media platform, and Elon is putting out like tweets and stuff on X. So it's really, my first take, it's freaking hilarious. Okay, number one. It is kind of surreal whenever I watch any of these types of things from across the pond, because the distance, right? Like you're just like, I'm not really associated with it, but it is still associated somewhat. Anyway, it is strange to see how invested people get, though. And there are so many people picking sides. And that's the reason that I'm interested. Not necessarily because I care about either of these two, because I don't. For me, it's not even about politics, in my opinion. It's more like a competition of which ego can throw the biggest tantrum first. They're both basically just big babies. They're big Nepo babies that are just angry that the other person had anything negative to say to them. Feels almost like a reality show, which basically is the US government at the moment anyway. But, Donald Trump's the kind of person that just wants to be the alpha all the time. And Musk just always wants to seem like he's the smartest all the time. And obviously this was a recipe for disaster, and it was going to unfold at some point. I'm surprised that I thought it was going to take a lot longer. I'm surprised it's only been a few months, but that's just what it's like in a Trump presidency. Everything happens at warp speed, no pun intended. Anyway, for some reason, Americans just love to idolize billionaires, and so this is like candy to the public in America. So it's all over everything. I personally don't take either of them seriously. I think they're both idiots, and I'm not a fan of either of them for any reasons. But from my perspective, it really feels like, what was the name of Donald Trump show? The Apprentice. It's like The Apprentice meets Silicon Valley. It's like some weird crossover, like reality show, like drama. It's so crazy. And it reminds me of like those awkward cringe moments where you're at like a family gathering or something, and or someone's arguing at the next table in a restaurant, and you're just kind of like awkward. It's awkward and it's loud, but you can't really look away. And it's a little bit fascinating as well because it's so like extreme and over the top and crazy. Anyway, I think it's funny. And so my hot take is it's just basically a bunch of babies fighting, right? But I like the fact that it's kind of dividing the Republican Party a little bit, where the people are actually starting to take sides. And I find that interesting because a lot of people thought the Republican Party was not going to ever budge. You know, that on a whole, it was going to stay. They have a history of just like supporting each other, right? And always banding together behind a cause, especially when they're in power. So I just find this very, very interesting and very funny. But I think the substance of it is like, duh. Like, Elon Musk is an eccentric guy, so he's going to act eccentric and he's going to get under people's skin and stuff. And he thinks he's the shit because he's the richest man in the world. And, Donald Trump has a massive ego, doesn't like to hear people whine and complain, and doesn't like to be disagreed with. So, of course, that was going to, explode at some point. Anyways, that's my take on it. I think it's hilarious, and I'm interested to see if it's actually any of these fractures and accusations are true. But for me, it's more entertainment because it doesn't really have any real bearing on the political outcomes of anything happening in America. But we'll see how it plays out. So that's what I think. If you guys want to let me know what you think, definitely put it in the chat. Or if you're watching this on the replay, put it in the comments. I am curious about everybody else's opinion as well, if you even know about it. I'm sure you know a little bit, because I have seen some stuff on some social media over here. But yeah, it's basically what happens when really rich kids don't get their way and are told no. This is what happens. That's it. Anyway, yeah, I'm just, yeah. Hello, Roy. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Diane, I agree with you. They're like little kids. Basically, that's what's happening. And it's just funny. Mandy says, I ran out of popcorn during that romantic spat on X. It's still going on. They keep like, I think Elon, said that there's a reason they won't release the Epstein files, because Donald Trump was good friends with him. I don't know. That's alleged. I don't know if there's any legal things involved there. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know for sure. And it is a legal case, so I can't speak in certainty at all because I don't want to be deported or anything. And I know that Elon Musk has a problem. Like, he's like a chronic marrier and has like 20 kids and stuff. Although Trump can't really say much about that either, right? But anyways, Lorena says the bromance is over, and I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. That's fair. I'm surprised you're surprised. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer, but because I thought Elon would hold out for a little bit more because he's so greedy. But that is true. Anyone who gets, you're right, Manny. Anyone who gets close to Trump pretty much gets the axe at some point. Yes, Piper. That's the thing, Piper, right? Like, so Piper says it's kind of funny. People always said it would happen when it did. But the funniest part is like anyone who's normal, like they live in such a bubble, right? They live in their own world, literally in like their own little worlds and bubbles, and all these yes people around them and stuff. And they just don't see how ridiculous they are. But normal people like us who are like just trying to put food on the table and have a laugh and, survive are just like, are you freaking kidding me? Go to work. Just shut up and go to work. Move on. Yeah, Emotion, I do agree with you on that one. I do believe that he brings the office into disrepute. It's I put out a video earlier this week, I think. Oh, it's probably yesterday. Today's Tuesday, so it's probably yesterday. It's about what's going on in LA, and it's horrifying. If you guys watch some of the online media that is not nearly as biased and is a little bit more honest about what's happening in the world, there's not all of it, but there are a few good channels. Try to watch some of it if you get a chance, because there's some stuff going on like under the surface in America that's scary for the world. So, or watch my video. That helps too. I love how I'm promoting everybody else's content instead of mine first. What can I say? I think of others first. Yeah, Lorena, I'm sorry, but that's true. As a fellow American, I totally feel your shame. I'm shaking my head as well. Yeah, I had to agree with you, Manny, although I have to be honest, I don't know what obsequious. I know what that means. I just didn't realize what it was. Okay, moving on. Yeah, I think it's horrendous how Donald Trump put out an arrest warrant for the governor of California because he disagreed with him and called him out. The whole thing is so petty. This is why you can't run a country like a business. This is my argument. Lots of people try to tell me, people who are like Trump fans and Elon fans, try to tell me that the countries should be run like businesses, but there's no way that's true because you have way too much interaction with other countries, and the whole point of government is to take care of people, is to make sure that you're secure, to make sure you're safe, to make sure you have what you need. You can't run a business and do that at the same time. There is a reason that countries aren't profitable in a lot of cases, because you're not supposed to be. All those profits are supposed to be invested back into the country, whether it be economics or infrastructure or education or defense or something, right? So for people to say it's got to be run like a business, it's like mind numbing. But when you run it like a business, like Donald Trump's trying to do, who, by the way, is not even a good businessman. I'm just going to put it out there. He's bankrupted several companies and has been sued several times for not paying people who've done work for him. Anyways, that aside, he's trying to run it like a business, but profitable for him, not profitable for the country. So even if you're going to run it like a business, which I don't agree with, but even if you're going to, then the profits should be put back into the company. They should be invested in the future of not the company. They should be invested in the future of the country. He doesn't care about that. He cares about himself. He wants money himself. That's all he cares about. That's why he's the worst person for the job, besides the fact of how he doesn't really have a good track record. And he's a friggin' reality. He's like a game show host. Not even like an actual businessman. He just played one on TV. Anyways, they do deserve each other. I agree with you, Mick. Musk is an abuser, calling Vern Hunsworth, who helped rescue those kids in the Thai cave, what he did was beyond contempt. Hi, TJ. That's fine. Just go watch SVU and, fine. It's probably more interesting, actually. I'm not as creative as SVU is. You know what, Diane? Most 4-year-old grandchildren are probably more mature than these two. I'm sure that if your grandchild was acting like this, I guarantee you or their parents would be either insanely embarrassed or insanely apologetic. One or the other. It's just like this Americans just idolize money and power and celebrity so much that they just let these idiots run amok. It's ridiculous. I hope the US, Manny says, who's one of our members, says, I hope the US has so many more No Kings protests planned on Trump's military parade to steal his thunder. I will not be watching any coverage should the BBC decide to show it. That's the thing. It puts other countries and other leaders in a really difficult position because he is the leader of the United States, whether we like it or not, right? He is the president. And other governments have to interact with him, whether they like it or not. So they have to, even though it might be his views or his conversation might be completely ridiculous, you still have to do that. It's like that coworker that's like your peer, right? And it's only the two of you, and you don't have a choice, even though they're ridiculous. You have to figure out a way to work with them. It's insane. But yes, we have the option of ignoring it or moving on or not paying attention. I will not be watching his parade either. You know that parade is costing like $100 million or something too. Like America's got problems. Like they have major problems. There's planes crashing into each other, and there's bridges collapsing, and there's people don't have drinking water, and there's tons of people on the street, and there's protests everywhere, and there's crime and guns everywhere, and he's like, oh, let's roll out the tanks. Anyways, it's like this CEO saying, pizza for everybody because we made our profits this year, even though he's pocketing a ton of money. He's like, oh, pizza. Let's have pizza. Yes, you're right, Emoji. Every business he's touched has gone bust. And well, the US is already, their credit rating's already been downgraded because it's an unpredictable source right now of income. You don't know what's going to happen. Stock markets are up and down constantly, depending on his moods, what he says. And yeah, and it's also just, we're all in a cost of living crisis in the world anyways. Piper says that everyone here I'm assuming, I think, yeah, you're in the UK. I was making sure. Yeah, everyone here was shocked when he got in the first time. I know, I was too. And to be honest, I said before he got elected that if he got elected, I would leave the country. Took longer than I thought. Most of that was COVID, to be honest. And I'm an optimist, so I was like, oh, let's give him a chance. But it didn't take long. But yeah, I mean, we're already in pretty bad shape. So, but the thing is with the president of the United States, and then we're going to move on to something a little bit more fun, I think. Maybe not, we'll see. The thing is with the president, Trump being the president of the United States, is Trump has been who he is forever, right? He was never going to change. He was never going to be anything but who he is. But he's really just a symptom of, his first term, he was a symptom of just most people in America being completely fed up with the establishment not doing anything. And maybe this like random, loose cannon, unpredictable person will bring some change for the average person. And he didn't. And we went back to normalcy and establishment. And then it got even, I don't know if it got worse. The perception of the government not working for us definitely got stronger. And then we went back because we're desperate. Like as Americans, as everyday Americans, we're desperate for anyone who gives a shit. Or even feeds us a line of bullshit saying that they give a shit. Ugh. That's why I feel so bad. Cause like I have like I'm writing a script about this actually, but I have like expat remorse. You know that thing, and I'm not comparing this to what people go through when they go through horrific things, like the survivor's guilt thing. I think I have some of that because I'm constantly like just worried, not constantly, but I always have a little bit of like tinge in the back of my mind about things. Please things get better in America for average Americans. Please, like something to have, I'm just always thinking of that. I think that's why I'm so tied still to like all the politics and stuff there. But anyways, speaking of horrendous things, let's move on to the next topic I wanted to talk to you guys about. This Netflix docuseries that I watched over the weekend on Fred and Rose West at 25 Cromwell. So I don't know if any of you are aware of the story. If you are, please let me know your take in the comments, in the chat. If you were around when this happened, I would love to hear your story and your take on it. This was freaking crazy. I have to admit, I'm usually pretty good at like figuring these kinds of like murder mystery type things out. And I struggled with this one. I did struggle with this one. I knew from the beginning, I don't know if I'm spoiling it for anyone who might want to hit pause or go make a cup of tea or something, but anyone who doesn't know the story, they're a husband and wife. They got together when he was 30, she was 15. Okay, and pregnant within a month. So I was like, yeah, this isn't going to end well. They're definitely not going to end well. Someone's going to die. Someone's going to get hurt. I was really baffled by the amount of people. Anyway, so this series is about how they met, what their life was, and this whole court case surrounding these bodies, or they were missing people, and they thought that these bodies were buried in or around their home, or they had something to do with it. So it's about this whole court case. I'm trying really hard to not spoil it for people who haven't seen it or don't know it, but I do recommend it because I did enjoy it. Obviously, it's horrific and scary and nightmarish in some ways, but I picked up on some little things that just completely horrified me about it. Like one point, they had their kid. They had a lot of kids, and they had their kids like sleeping in a dark basement while they had visitors in the bedrooms upstairs. They were picking up like young women together, and I watch a lot of that stuff because I don't know, I'm just interested in the psychology of it. Like I watch My Lover, My Killer and The Worst Roommate Ever and stuff like that because I'm really interested in the psychology behind it. But Jesus, this one, like, this was disgusting and this was scary and this was kind of baffling that it happened. It went on for a long time. Excuse me, without anyone realizing it. And I don't understand how, because there must have been signs, there must have been smells, there must have been, strange comings and goings, there must have been noises and unusual activity at random like points throughout the day or night. Like it just seems a little like overly fantastic. I know it started I think they started it in the late 70s when they met, and then it was the 80s and 90s. Mid 90s was when the court case started, I think. But wow, like if you don't know anything about it and you haven't seen it, I recommend watching the docuseries on Netflix. Really interesting and really well done. And I've seen a few of these types of things that have happened in Britain for TJ. But and I kind of saw what was going to happen, and they were difficult, disgusting and stuff because they involved murder and other horrific acts, and abuse and things like that. But it was not as compelling, not nearly as compelling. This was crazy. It was just crazy. It just kept going and going and going. I was just like, how big is this gonna be? Again, I'm trying really hard to not spoil it for y'all. I could go into a lot more detail, but I don't know who in the chat knows and doesn't know and would be interested in watching it. So I don't want to like mess it up for you, but I'm definitely like one of those friends who's like, oh, it's the best movie ever. You gotta go see it. You gotta go see it. And then you go and see it and you're like, yeah, it's pretty good, but I don't know if it's the best movie ever. I'm probably overhyping it for y'all. That's okay. Anyways, yeah, I definitely recommend seeing it. And Fred and Rose West is what it's called. 25 Cromwell. My partner said that they remember seeing 25 Cromwell and like news stories on this. He just left school at that point, around that time. And he actually remembered like some of the news clips and stuff that they showed from the court cases and investigation and stuff. I was just like, how do you not know this is happening? That's my only thing. Like, especially in a place like Britain, especially in a place like the UK, you have a lot of monitoring. You're so like your community is just close ties, right? You're like packed into this small area, and there's, I mean, like I can't even. I'm sure these people listen to the show like through the wall, right? Like you don't have any real privacy in America. You don't have any real privacy here in the UK, as far as like that kind of stuff. Like to do those types of nefarious acts. Again, I know this was like what 30, 40 years ago, but wow. I'm baffled that nobody knew. They had a lot of kids too, and you know, kids, they talk. They can't keep their mouth shut for anything. Unless that's just my kid, which might be because it's my kid. But all right, let's see what you guys think. I'm sorry, I went backwards somehow and got TJ's SVU. She was more interested in watching television. TJ says my dog knows the difference between right and wrong. I know, right? Oh, this wasn't planned, but another fantastic like series. I don't know if it's on. I don't remember what streaming service it's on. But you can just probably search for it. Life on Our Planet. It goes literally from like the Big Bang all the way to modern day, and talks about like the evolution of plants and animals and all of the changes that the Earth went through and all that kind of stuff. Really, really interesting. Really interesting. I recommend that too. I'm not getting paid by any of this stuff. No sponsors. This is not a paid promotion for either of these places, or either of these shows at all, or Netflix, or any other streaming service. I just really enjoyed them, and I try to share what I enjoy, because we need some positivity in the world, right? Piper's is taking a less serious take. The only good thing about him getting in last time was us getting less for Brexit and other Europeans making fun of Trump and us trying to sneak away and pretend we didn't make a huge mistake too. Yeah, I'm a little, for personal reasons, I'm a little bit offended that you guys did the Brexit thing, only because it's very inconvenient for me who wants to travel. Oh, and the whole like economic and sociological and all the psychological damage and political damage it's been causing. Oh yeah, all that too. I'm obviously sad about that too. Emojin says the UK is only a few years behind. People here would vote for Trump's tribute act Farage out of desperation for change. Yeah, that's the scary part, right? But I feel like, and maybe this is just my optimistic point of view and my optimistic outlook on life, and I know it's very in an antithesis to the British way, but I feel like people might see how ridiculous Trump is and how over the next 4 years he's going to tank not just the United States, but the world economy, and how destructive and combative and really just hellish conditions he's going to cause, that maybe they'll go in the opposite direction in the rest of the world, so we can actually combat this like far right movement that seems to be growing in the world. Again, it could just be me being too optimistic, but I try to find the silver lining and focus on that as much as I can and hope it contains the moisture as long as possible. But the problem with that is then it starts flooding, right? So you gotta be prepared. Hopefully there's people trying to prepare for the inevitable. Piper says, I'm hoping the Tories scared people away from enough from the right parties in general. Farage gets in, I'll leave the country. I don't know if I could do that. Yeah, I already used my get out of jail free card once. I don't know if it's going to be valid again. And I don't know if they'll let me back in. Mick MacArthur says, displaying military hardware like that is what Russia, China, and North Korea do. Yeah, well, that's why he wants to do it, because he wants to be revered. Even if it's fake reverence, he wants to be revered like that. You know, he doesn't want to have to like actually be elected. He doesn't want to work for people's votes. He doesn't want to, you know, do any actual work in order to gain people's admiration or loyalty. He just wants it. He just thinks it's a given because he's a spoiled brat. Emotion says, I think everyone knows who Fred West was. All right, fair enough. If I can talk about the details, if you guys are cool with me talking about the details, I'll talk about the details. I was just trying to be as respectful as possible. Lorena says, I moved to England in 1995, so I'm quite aware of Rose and Fred West. Oh, Lorena, I thought you were in Texas. I thought you were an American in Texas. I'd love to know more if you're willing to share, but if you're not, no worries. But are you playing some kind of game with me? No, I'm sure you have a reasonable explanation I just can't think of right now because I'm distracted. Diane says, how did they live in that house with bodies in the walls, floor, and garden? Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, it ended up being 12 victims, I think. All young women and girls, like kids. And they were buried in like the floor of the basement and in the walls of the house and in the backyard. And they had like lots of kids, and they were telling their kids at one point, because one of the victims was one of their children, and they were telling the other kids, you better behave or you're going to end up in the backyard like your sister. Plus he was like molesting some of these people and raping some of these people, and he was like prostituting his wife. Well, I don't know if he was prostituting her or she was doing it on her own or whatever the situation was. It was crazy. Oh my God. It was every time that I thought I figured it out, another layer. And I was just like, although I will say that I did predict that he was protecting her from the beginning. You could just tell by the way he was explaining and the way he kept saying, no one has any other involvement. No, it's just me. It was all me. It was all me. So I was pretty sure that she was involved in some way. All that stuff can't happen for like 3 decades without you knowing something. Okay. Again, There's lots of kids. There's lots of people coming in and out. People talk. Kids don't know how to shut up. They will tell you everything if you just listen really hard. Like if you just pay attention, they'll tell you what's happening. You just got to pay attention. And plus some of them were younger, like on the younger side, so they didn't even know probably what was happening, like understand it. So they would say things. I don't know. I would assume they would say things like, "Hey, I haven't seen my sister in a while," or "My mom keeps saying, hey, you're gonna end up in the backyard like your sister." Like, that's not funny, you know? It's just weird. The whole thing was weird. It took so long to figure out. It took so long to find all the bodies, and it was just they were like cruising for people and grooming them for whatever it is they decided they wanted to do. And then there was one survivor that they tried to like groom back into the fold, and she ended up getting away. And her story, like I cried, guys. I was like it was so horrific, and you could just see in her, like you could tell she wasn't lying by how she was telling the story. That's what I'm trying to say. You could tell if you're paying attention, you can tell what someone's feeling, whether they're lying, you know, whether they're telling the truth, whether it's a real emotion or put on emotion. I'd say at least 85 to 90% of the time, because most people don't pay attention enough to themselves even to really try to mask it in a real way. So if you really just pay attention, you can pretty much read people, or it's just me because I watch a lot of this stuff. So I've picked up on some things. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Piper, do you not know the court case? Now I spoiled it for Piper. Because Piper says, Piper was talking about the Brexit stuff and said, oh, I was like, oh, well, we've just killed ourselves economically. And then, oh, hey, the US wants to join us. Welcome to the shit show. And the court case, just randomly, court case sounds unusual. And creepy. It was. And I kept thinking, like, there's no way that it could have gone on this long without someone knowing, right? Like there's some other kind of twist, right? There's some other kind of, and there is the one person they interviewed, I don't know if she was a witness for the court case or she was just like a friend of the family who knew some of the stuff, like, or had inklings and conversations and never said anything because that she didn't want to intrude on their personal relationship. I mean, okay. I don't blame any of the other like boarders that came in and out of the house that were living there and then left for not saying anything, because they're probably scared for their lives. And they're all young women or like teenage runaways type of that age group, like 15 to like 25. Like that was the age group, minus their own kids. So like I don't blame them if you're in that type of situation. You just want to be safe, right? You just want to get out of it and not relive it. We've all been in that situation, especially at that age, right? So I don't blame them, but I do blame the friend a little bit, because there's kids. They had kids in that house. So if they're doing something strange and unusual and you're getting like a creepy vibe from them, for the kids' sake, wouldn't you pay a little bit more attention? I mean, I would, for the kids' sake, at the very least, if no one else's. Yeah, I agree with you, Diane. It makes me sick thinking about it as well. It's really horrific. Balco says, in the UK, we all know who Fred West was. Glad he's no longer on this planet. Agreed. My partner said everybody was going to know. And I just didn't believe him. But that might be because we're like in America, we're just completely disconnected from anything that's not hugely sensationalized. But Mick MacArthur says, I think we all remember it. I refuse to watch any of these things. I think it glorifies them. Oh, I hear what you're saying, Mick, and I'm on your side. I don't ever want to give like a positive vibe on any of this stuff. Like I said, I don't watch it because I get some kind of weird thrill out of it, except the psychological. I like to just know how people's minds tick, and that's why I like to watch this kind of stuff. But I'm with you. This series in no way glorifies them. Trust me, they do not come out looking good in this at all, in any way. If anything, it's probably a tad biased in the other direction, but I'd rather err on that side anyways. It was very un-British at the time. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, meaning like why it was un-British. Was it just because it was so monumental, like it was so huge? That might be what you're talking about. I just don't want to put words in your mouth though. You're right. He took the coward's way out and hung himself. Prick. What? I could say some other things, but I'm gonna be nice. I mean, I might get like copyrighted or kicked off of YouTube if I say it. I'm really thinking you should have heard my mouth when watching it. You guys think I have a bad mouth when I'm live. You should hear me when I'm not. If we ever run into each other in real life, you'd be surprised. 95. Yeah, 95. Wow. 95 was what? 30 years ago. Damn. But 95 is when the court case was, and this was happening like at least a decade before that. It's so fucking scary. You don't think you had as many security cameras back then, Piper? It might be. I mean, it was, the 90s, the 80s and 90s, so it's possible. You guys are just like, everybody's so much more compacted here. And this was Gloucester. Where's Gloucester? Gloucester's near London, right? People are gonna get mad at me. It was in the center of Gloucester. Like, it was near High Street too. So it wasn't even like it was in a Scottish village somewhere or something. Like, where like 5 people and sheep and goats live. Anyway, but that's a good point though, Piper. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's also a good point, TJ. Kids can be quiet about things if they feel under threat or abuse. And they didn't really go into that part, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, they touched on it a little bit, but they didn't really go into it. So, but I'm sure it was. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, I'm just used to my kid, and my kid's loud and mouthy, but I'm loud and mouthy, so what do I expect? Manny said, don't blame about Brexit because I voted to remain. Got you. Don't worry, Manny. Got you. Actually, no. I've only met maybe 2 or 3 people, to be honest, that voted to leave. So I don't know where the votes were. Obviously, they were in my little circle, but yeah, everyone I voted. I'm sorry, everyone I've spoken to voted to stay because they thought it was the best thing. And even people who are really conservative, like in a lot of cases, like are really Britain first and, let's go back to our roots kind of thought, like that's their mindset, they still voted to stay. So I don't know where these votes came from. Obviously, there's lots of them because that's what happened, but oh, Lorena's got me intrigued. It's like Dennis Nilsson. How did people not notice he was burning bodies outside and he had them in his house? Horrible. I agree with you, TJ. Who is Dennis Nilsson? I got to. Oh, this is on Netflix too, right? A Scottish serial killer and necrophile, who murdered at least 12 young men and boys. Oh, that's the next one. He died in excruciating pain. I mean, I'm not going to shed a tear for that. Falco says Rose is still in prison and receiving end-of-life care. Y'all don't have the death penalty here, right? I'm pretty sure that my partner told me you don't have the death penalty here, which I actually agree. I'm against the death penalty. I think living with your actions, especially some horrific actions like this, is much more of a punishment. But so if she's in end of life care, then that means that she's on her way out, huh? This is good. I wonder if that's why they released the Netflix docuseries. What's up with my hair? Look at that. God, I am so sorry that I am not on it today for y'all. Oh. Anyways, I'm gonna have to fix it. Sorry, guys. Manny says that TJ agrees with TJ that Brexit was a disaster and hate it with vengeance. Yeah. It's just created. So I remember when I worked for my last job, when I worked very closely with logistics because our parent company was in Europe, as this job's parent company is in Europe as well. Strange, but I don't have to get as involved with the logistics. But all the warehouses and stuff were in Europe, and there was someone who was doing the logistics as I was talking to them was telling me that in the last few years since Brexit, that like the paperwork and the amount of extra money you have to pay for the duties and fees and all that stuff to get stuff from Europe to the UK is just like astronomical now since Brexit. And it made everything so much more complicated. And with the holiday differences, people don't want to stay. People don't want to, drivers don't want to come sometimes and deliver in the UK because they might get stuck here and not be able to get back because of holidays and closures and traffic. And so, I mean, there was a whole host of stuff that they were telling me. I only listened to half of it because I didn't care, but oh, here we go. Lorena's story. I'm an American in Texas now, but I moved to England on a fiancé visa in 95 and lived there until 2004. We are currently trying to move back, hopefully within 2 years. Okay. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope you do come back, only because I'd like to, have you around. So I think you'd be a good addition to the UK. And I don't know what's going on in Texas right now. You guys had some bad storms like last week, right? I don't remember where you are in the area, if you're near Houston or not, but I think that area had some bad storms. This is crazy. I hope you're safe, and I hope it takes less than 2 years and goes seamless for you. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know, Lorena. I'd be happy to, if it's within my power. And I lost my place. Maxwell. Hello, Maxwell. Nice to see you. Agrees with TJ as well that Brexit was a complete disaster. And I have to jump on that bandwagon too. Piper says that she hadn't heard of the Fred and Rose West saga, but learning about serial killers isn't really my thing. My sister enjoys watching these types of things a lot, though. Yeah, I kind of always watch them. I do break it up with like comedy and politics, news, and you guys and YouTubers. I consume a lot of stuff. You'd think I just sit around consuming. I really don't. I promise I don't. It's just always on in the background or something. I don't know. I'm usually on my laptop when all this stuff's on. Anyways, Mojin says, you need to understand, Mandy, that the UK is a very different place back then and things were ignored. Is that the whole like stiff upper lip stereotype kind of thing? My mother goes on to say, my mother knew Tracy Brown. She was the first Yorkshire Ripper victim. Jesus. She lived. Her description of him is perfect, but she was ignored. Why? Oh, first of all, my heart goes out to them. Oh. I suppose there's probably cases like that in America as well, where you go to the police and they don't really do much for you, or they don't really believe you. Probably happens a lot more than I want to admit to myself, and I'm not trying to put down the UK police or the English police or anything like that, because far better, far superior to what we have in America in a lot of ways. But yeah, I guess I'm just like, I guess I just have to put myself back in that timeline. See, but back in that when in the 90s, I was a very different person. And I wasn't as like aware of things in the world. So I wasn't paying attention to things like this in even my own backyard, let alone the world. I was not even as self-aware back then. So I was very much in my own American bubble at that point. And in 95, I was still in high school as well. So I just aged myself a little bit, but I'm not as old as my partner, if that helps. But that is a fair wrinkle to remember. Thank you for bringing that up, Imogen. These murders happened between 67 and 87. Yeah, I know. It's like 2 decades. It's so crazy. Mick says that there are so many of these people's kids getting sent to the shop for bread and never coming back, with other kids that just disappear without a trace. Jesus. I mean, I know you're not lying or anything. I'm just saying, like, like, I guess I'm just realizing I'm looking at it from a 21st century point of view, aren't I? Fair. Piper says just because we're compacted doesn't mean we pay attention to our neighbors. I barely speak to my neighbors. I think it's more common to be friendly with people on your street in tiny villages. Yeah, that's true. I must admit that is true here. You guys don't really like interact. I mean, we say hi to our neighbors and stuff when we see them. We have one that is a really, really nice and sweet. And if someone stops to talk to me, I'll talk to them. I'm not like gonna be a dick to them or anything, but I don't like socializing with people. I don't like that forced socialization. I've mentioned this a few times to you guys. When I'm in those conditions, like, I feel like it's forced, and I'd rather just naturally, organically happen. Nothing personal against anybody. That's just how how I regulate myself nowadays. I don't think that they were talking about Jack the Ripper, Maxwell. I think they were talking about something that happened in Yorkshire. Yorkshire Ripper, yeah. A time when the British police didn't cover themselves in glory. Oh, that was a comment from Emotion. I didn't vet that one before I read it out loud. Piper says, not that I think it's a good thing, but I live in the South and we don't often talk to our neighbors or people on the street. Southeast. And I go to visit like people that live in small villages, and they like know what like everybody's doing in the village, and I'm like, and when we first got here, we were staying with family in a small village, and I was like, I felt so isolated because I didn't have access to anything. I wasn't driving, and I didn't know how to get around, and my partner was working, and the child was at school, and I was like, I have no one to talk to but a bunch of like older people. And I don't know what to do. There's nothing to do. I have no place to go. Oh, it was it triggered me from my childhood. I think that's probably what I was growing up in the suburbs and not having anywhere to go or anything to do. Lorraine is talking about Des Nilsson. Okay, yeah, that's the person I just looked up. That, yeah, I'll have to check that one out. So if you think Fred and Rose were bad, look into the Moores murders. I feel like that sounds familiar. Did I watch that one? I'll have to check that one out. I feel like it sounds familiar. Someone might have told me about it, but it doesn't look familiar. Piper says, I am correct. We do not have the death penalty. We used to debate about whether we should have the death penalty a lot in school. Yeah, we had that debate in school as well. So we don't have a national law about it, so it's up to the states in the United States. And some states have it and some states don't. Texas has it, I believe, right, Lorena? So don't do anything wrong. But most of the more like progressive states have banned it. But New Jersey still has it. So I don't think, to be fair, I don't think it's been used in like decades, but we do still have it on the books as far as I'm aware. Lorena says, I'm in Houston and the bad stores were north in Dallas. Oh, okay, but we are now in hurricane season until November 1st. We had a hurricane last year, so let's hope we don't this one. Yeah. Oh, of course, Lorena. I'm happy to help anybody in any way that I can. Let me know if you have any questions or you know, even if you just need to vent or something, you can send me an email or we could chat if you'd like. Somehow reach out if you need it. I'm there. It's tough. You know, you have a little bit of experience with it, so it's probably you probably got a head start than I over me initially, but I'm happy to give any wisdom I might have and pass it along. Correct me if I'm TJ says, sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, UK, but wasn't Yorkshire Ripper the case that brought all the police forces together database? Oh, so you guys didn't even have a national database yet in the 90s and late 80s and 90s. I just took it for granted that you've had it for a lot longer, but that makes sense because that's when the things started to get more computerized and stuff, right? So, yeah. Okay, starting to gel. Okay, so it takes me a little while sometimes, guys. Piper, I don't even want to with you, all right? I don't even want to talk to you right now. I love you, but I don't want to talk to you right now. You make me feel 100 years old. Britain has its fair share of evil nutcases, I'm afraid. Listen, I don't come from a big hunky-dory cloud in the sky either. Manny says there's a horrific mass shooting incident in Graz, Austria, when a 21-year-old gunman killed ex-student who shot and killed 11 students and then turned the gun on himself. Oh, that hurts. Oh, poor thing. It's poor people. A failed ex-student. I'm not sure if I understand what that is, other than flunked out of school. Would be my layman's Americanized version of that English. I'm assuming that's what that means. Emotion says, I prefer my neighbor's dog to my neighbor's. Winnie the cockapoo always says hello. Well, dogs are usually better than people. Most animals are usually better than people. They're not going to bother you unless they feel threatened or they think you're food. And they just want to do their thing. Animals are so much better than people in so many ways. But I think we've evolved in a way that we're like we're too good, like our brains are too good for our actual species. We've like over evolved or something. I never thought Jack the Ripper wasn't British. I don't know who said they weren't. I've never heard anything like that. I've always heard that Jack the Ripper was British. I've heard different versions of who it was, like a like what class and from backgrounds, and even heard from one source that it could have been a woman, they thought, in some respects as well, but never heard they weren't British. TJ has summed up the United States quite well, where every state has different rules, pretty much. Like my driver's license, I kept my Pennsylvania driver's license because I had just gotten it renewed like 6 months before we left, and it expires this year. I think it expires this month, actually. So I was looking to see how I can renew it, and technically my mailing address has moved back to New Jersey with my mom, so that I could have a mailing address in the US still. But so I can't renew my Pennsylvania driver's license because it's a different state. But in order to get it changed to my New Jersey driver's license, I have to go to a office in person, which is a little bit difficult for me, as you can imagine. And I can't just transfer it over to the new address and then just get like a renewed online. And they have to take my picture in the building. In Pennsylvania, you can renew it online, and then you get this like card in the mail, and you just go and they take your picture, and then you get your license mailed to you. When I first started driving in New Jersey, we didn't even have pictures on our driver's licenses. It was just a little piece of paper, basically. And I remember every other state had pictures and New Jersey didn't. And everyone was like, I had to carry around like 3 IDs to prove it was me because it didn't have my picture on it. I had like a student ID and like an old license or something. I don't remember. Anyways. But now I can't even get my license renewed. So if I go back to the US and I don't have my UK driver's license, I won't be able to drive. Well, I can drive, but I can't rent a car. And I have to go to what they call Department of Motor Vehicles in New Jersey when I go in order to get my license sorted. And I'm going to have like 6 forms of ID to prove it to me, and my birth certificate and my passport and everything, and to probably see my visa, and who knows if I'll even get it. But I won't have to take the test again. Unless I think you have like a 10-year gap or something. But yeah, I'm trying to figure that stuff out. Can't do it. Gotta wait till I go back to the US if I get in. Rod in 1953. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Timothy Evans was hung and was innocent. I think you're talking to the death penalty conversation. See, that's my argument against the death penalty. Is no matter how horrific some people are and how emotionally connected you could be, where you'd want that person to no longer be dead, to no longer be alive. Too many, one is too many, but too many people get executed that are actually innocent. So, and I don't believe in violence, and I don't believe we have a right to take anyone's life away. I think you could take someone's freedom away and privilege away, but I don't think that you have the right to take someone's life on any occasion. So I'm with you, Rodden. It's unacceptable. I assumed from the tone of how you wrote that you agree with that was wrong and the death penalty shouldn't exist. But please, if I'm wrong, please let me know and I will correct the record. Lorena says, Texas does indeed have the death penalty. We even have a fast track for Old Sparky. I wish I was kidding. A fast track to get electrocuted? Like, you still have electrocution in Texas. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to by Old Sparky. And you have a fast track for it? Like, ignoring your right to appeals and stuff? Kind of fast track? Ugh. Yeah, Piper, you're not alone. most people that I have met that are new to the United States have a hard time wrapping their head around how all the rules are different in each state. All right, so I was right that the gentleman in Austria was failed out of school. TJ's right, they had one for racehorses and not children. Oh, the database thing. Oh, sorry, Maxwell. I was trying to figure out what you're talking about. So when we talk about the national database, they had one for racehorses, but they didn't have one for children. Interesting. Diane asks a question. Did you all hear about someone claiming they've solved the Jack the Ripper mystery through DNA? Not sure what I think about that. Well, I think it was so long ago. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but I'm sure there's also other things those resources could be spent on that would probably help people in modern day. But yeah, they do now, Lorena. They do now because they changed the law. But when I first started driving in 1996, that's what it was. So like because you're a provisional driver for your first 2 years, so you did have a picture on the first license, but then when you renewed it, you could renew it through the mail and it didn't have a picture. So I had like a license like that for like 10 years, something like that. But now it's mandated that you have to have a picture for voter fraud, mainly. TJ says she doesn't believe the DNA thing for Jack the Ripper. Falco says it's fake. Isn't it to do with one of the scarves that belonged to one of the victims? I have doubts. Diane says it probably is fake. Falco. She says, yeah, I just feel like it's been so long ago, it'd be difficult to really prove any of those crimes beyond a shadow of a doubt, right? Like, even with, I mean, the DNA would be inconclusive, I think, because really there's nothing left to compare it to make sure, right? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, obviously. But it sounds like it's either fake or at least exaggerated, or they were very generous with their findings. Emotion says it's a lot of nonsense. Some people say anything to get attention. It is the age of attention. Manny says, Mandy and Lorena, what's the legal age in the U.S. you can start driving with a provisional license? It depends on the state you're in, Manny. So in New Jersey, where I grew up, you could get a provisional license at 16. But they don't, it's not a provisional license. It's called a learner's permit. And it's not an actual driver's license. And you have restrictions on how many people could be in the car, how late you can drive. You have to have a licensed driver with you, stuff like that. And then I think you have to do that for 6 months, and then you can get you can take your driver's test and have your license. Once you do that, then you have it for life, unless you move back and forth or you have an injury or something where you might have to retest. I don't know what it's like in Texas. Obviously, Lorena will be able to speak to that if she's able to. In Pennsylvania, you get your driver's permit at 15, and you can start driving at 16 legally. Why in New Jersey 17? Because most of the states are 16. Most of the states you can get your license at 16. So I don't know why New Jersey's different, but that's New Jersey for you. Lorena says Texas legal procedures and the setting of execution dates are done by trial judges rather than the governor, so there's faster execution timeline compared to other states. It just shouldn't exist, in my opinion. I don't think there should be a fast track to death, if at all possible. And I like the idea of the trial judges having a say in it, because typically they would hand down the sentence, right? I believe it's like that in most states. And they're obviously more intimately involved in the case, so they know all the details and they can make a better judgment, in my opinion. And governors are political, right? They're elected. So I have a problem with some, you could go to trial and then somebody who, I don't know, agrees with what I do. I think it's right for one person's office to, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with the death penalty. I think it should be outlawed universally. It was John Christie who killed a lot of women but blamed Timothy Evans, and Timothy Evans ended up getting hung. I will check that story out. I don't know that story, but that is going to break my heart. I guarantee it. I can't remember the name of it, and if I think of it, I'll post it for everybody. There's a really good movie with Kevin Spacey, Laura Linney, and Kate Winslet in it, about the death penalty, and like the good, like it follows one person's case, but it's a good like commentary on the death penalty in America and how it's misused sometimes and stuff like that. So, and the justice system in America overall. So if I can think of the name, I'll let you know, and I'll definitely put a post out for you guys. Everyone should see it if you can. I really enjoyed it, and it was really well done, and it's got 3 amazing actors in it, so you'll probably enjoy it as well. I hope. I'm just promoting everybody else's stuff today. Speaking of, before we run out of time, on one of our live streams, we were talking about, I think it might have even been last week, we were talking about dairy milk pudding. And guess what I found? This is a sharer tub. I didn't realize it was this big. It's a dessert. You guys call it a dessert pot. Again, no promotion for this. Don't come at me. I might have to cut this segment out when I repost it, but this, I love dairy milk. For those of you who don't know, I'm obsessed with it. And so I thought I would try it with you guys for the first time. So I'm going to take a quick taste and see my judgment. And then we'll get back to our comments. Okay. It says it's made to share. This is a 350 grams. It's a lot. Smooth dessert made with melted Cadbury milk chocolate. Dairy milk. All right, let's see. Yeah, this is definitely what we call pudding. I know you guys call pudding dessert here, but this is pudding. Anyone in America, like you, Lorena, you know what I'm talking about. This is pudding, right? All right. Let's try it. It tastes like chocolate pudding. I definitely had the expectation it was going to be amazing because I'm in love with dairy milk, and I'm really, really wanted it to be more than just chocolate pudding. It doesn't taste as much like dairy milk as the like chocolate bars do and stuff. I have a fly in here, apparently. It's not bad at all. It's just not as good as I thought it would be, to be honest. I'm on a diet too, so this is really bad. I mean, I would imagine, I can't imagine this with strawberries in it would be fabulous. So I might have to do that. Anyways, if you guys like dairy milk, what do they call them? Dessert pots, let me know. I'll try it. I'll try the caramel one and everything too, just to see when we get to that point. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be able to eat that whole thing by myself. It's so funny because this is like not, and Lorena can back me up on this one too. This is like not a shared portion in America by any means. This is definitely like a single, maybe a single pot is definitely smaller, but it's probably like that. But it's maybe like a supersized one, and then like a sharing one is like this big. You can get like 7 servings, 6 or 7 servings out of a sharing one. Same thing with your, like you're sharing crisp bags, like regular, like we sell that as a regular bag, and then we call them family size, and they're like as big as the screen. I'm just like, it's crazy. We have like extra party size as well, just like even bigger. It's crazy. So Falco's going back to the Jack the Ripper thing. He says it's over Shaw, and it was proved that it's not in that time frame. Fair enough. TJ says, I believe Jack was Jackie, and they were a U.S. citizen who married a Brit. You're welcome. I'll answer any questions anyone has, Manny, and you know that. Piper says, can we talk about something more lighthearted? First time back in weeks, and the first topic equals death. Well, to be fair, you might have missed it. The first topic was Elon Musk and Donald Trump, remember? So that was kind of fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to bum you out. Anglo-Saxon, thank you for joining. I get you, but don't you think people would commit less crime if they had a death penalty? No, I don't think so. I think that there's different buckets of crime, Anglo. I think there's crimes where people are seriously mentally ill, not like on an average scale, like to an extreme spectrum, and they were going to commit crimes regardless because they're in a completely kind of different universe in their minds. I think there's circumstance crimes, like theft, robbery, drugs, things like that. And I don't think the death penalty in any of those cases would deter. And we have states that have the death penalty in America, and crime is not any better in those states than they are in any other state. We still have mass shootings. We still have an insane number of drug offenders. We still have all kinds of rapists and stuff. So I don't think so. I think, in my opinion, which is not educated in this area at all, so it's just the layman's version, but in my opinion, I think that people, I'm going to quote Legally Blonde, happy people don't shoot their husbands. So if you're happy, if you're comfortable, if your needs are met, if you're not worried about your child's safety, you have minimal worry about their future or bills or your economic situation, your health, you're less likely to commit a crime because you're content. So I feel as though that dealing with some of those sociological and economical situations are a way to prevent crime. You're not going to prevent every crime, of course. And somebody's always going to, there's always going to be an exception to the rule and everything. But I think that is a better crime deterrent than killing somebody. Just my opinion, though. If you have a different opinion, Angle, I'm happy to hear it and discuss it. I'm always happy to have dissenting opinions, contrary to some of the commenters' beliefs. But yeah. So Lorena says, Manny, in Texas, a person could be 14 to apply, but they have to pass a written exam and take lessons and get a permit at 15. Yeah. I think, yeah, you definitely have to pass a written exam, take the lessons, and get the permit. It's just different ages. That is the same in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Here, you take the lesson, you apply, you get the provisional license, you take the lessons, then you do the written. So it's kind of opposite. Crazy. Emotion says, always look on the bright side of life, aimed at Piper. Yeah, you got to credit people, because if you don't, copyright everywhere. I got copyrighted. I did a react, and I got permission ahead of time, and I still got a copyright strike. Not a strike, because the strike's a really bad one, but I got like a mark or whatever, because they used a song for like 10 seconds that I was reacting to, and I didn't cut that. I mean, I cut it out eventually, but I was just like, how am I getting dinged on this? It's not even my video that's using the song. I was like, I'm sure they didn't get copyrighted on it. Anyways, YouTube's going crazy with copyrights right now. Emotion says, oh, great. I just put on half a pound looking at that. I know. It's not as Moorish as I thought it would be, though, to use a British term. Rodden says to watch the film Rillington Place. Okay. Rillington Place. Got it. Okay. You guys know. I'm not okay. We're not going to get to my epics and comments again. It's okay, because we're chatting and I appreciate the chat. All right, Piper. Do you want some Dairy Milk? Will that cheer you up? Manny says, Luis Theroux did a documentary on death row and visited San Quentin Penitentiary. He met one prisoner who was sentenced to 500 plus years in jail. It may still be available on BBC iPlayer. Oh, I'd be interested in watching that. I've watched some of Louis, I'm not sure, Theroux's documentaries. He does a bunch about the U.S. One of them that I remember that jumps out in my mind is like the neo-Nazi movement in America. It was really good. Emojin said it was cool. I'm sorry. Oh. I didn't mean to be cruel. I'm sorry, Emojin. Looks like mousse to me. I prefer the Aero mousse. I'm not a huge fan of Aero, and I think Aero's the one with the Crispies in it, right? This isn't really like in my experience, mousse is a little bit thicker. And it's not as smooth a texture, but maybe it's just a like a language thing. Like maybe this is what you would call mousse and you call something else. And of course, now I have to eat it. Oh, bye, Maxwell. Thanks so much for joining us. It says it's been interesting as always. We may look eccentric in Britain, but we are looking aware of problems. Just like the ravens at the tower, we may crumble if we stop. Okay. Wait. We may look eccentric in Britain, but we are looking aware of problems. Just like the ravens at the tower, we may crumble if we stop. All right. Anglo says, I've seen it. It's a good documentary, but a waste of tax. All right. That's fair. I mean, again, Anglo, everyone has their opinion and everyone has a right to their opinion. I hear the tax issue. I don't think it's an invalid argument by any means, and especially in the states, the economies that we're in now. But sorry, I just don't agree. I don't agree that the money is a good enough reason to pursue that. In my opinion, it's a moral thing for me. I think that's where my hang up is with it. Did I miss a comment somewhere? I'm just trying to catch up with you all in the chat here. Lorena says, I remember the film you were promoting with Kevin Spacey. It was very good. It was called The Life of David Gale. That's my girl. She's absolutely right. It's really good. Check it out if you get a chance. Anglo says, we have a problem now with illegal immigrants and it's costing UK taxpayers £43,000 per person a year. Yeah, I mean, there's illegal immigration issues in a lot of developed countries. So, and of course, the UK is not immune to that in any way. I understand where you're coming from. I do think that there are reforms and things that need to happen. I don't know the problem well enough here in the UK in order to feel comfortable speaking about what potential solutions might be. But I will say, from an American perspective, and I would think that the UK has some responsibility in this as well, only because you're a very close ally of ours. There's been a lot of foreign policy in a lot of countries, and particularly underdeveloped countries, where we've kind of messed with their economies and their well-beings and created havoc in their countries. So it is up to us, in those instances at least, to be open to the refugees from those countries. And this is also my perspective, just as a macro level look at this. The human race is close to extincting itself, basically. And with all of the stuff that's happening in the world, as Lorena mentioned, there's hurricane season coming up in Texas, and all these storms and all these events are getting a lot more difficult. The earth is heating up. It's scientific fact. So I think we need to be a little more just open to each other, trying to take care of each other in the ways that we can. But I don't think that we're going to, if the current government structures in these Western countries, and I'm including America, by all means, don't start really, forward thinking and making some real changes in how they govern and how they manage money and how they manage these types of foreign events and all that kind of stuff. So it's a complicated issue, Anglo, both immigration and the death penalty. I'm not hating on anybody who has a different opinion by any means. I appreciate having the discussion because, I'm always open, but I don't know everything, barely know that much on most things. See, Lorena's on my side. It's definitely not a share portion of that chocolate pudding. It's not. This is I don't know. It seems normal size to me. Anglo, I can agree with that. Life is rough and not lighthearted. No, I mean, look, that's why you have to. My philosophy is to find the fun in as many moments as you can, even in the tough ones. Let yourself laugh. Let yourself feel good. Let yourself feel whatever the emotion is that you're feeling in the moment, no matter what it is, and try to just make sure that you can, if you're laughing or something's funny or you're smiling or you're enjoying something, even in a tragic situation, it's okay. We're human beings, it's okay. relish those moments, especially if you're in a difficult, horrific moment or you're going through something, because life is hard. Oh, you weren't just making fun of me? She's in prison in the UK. Jack Spree stopped for life, but it got commuted. She went back to us. Oh, she went back to the US. Oh. A woman was locked up for 3 years in prison for a Facebook post she deleted. Yeah, they're cracked down on that kind of speech in America as well. It's really disgusting. I mean, people have a right to say whatever they want to. Piper says, I have to say I disagree with Anglo-Saxon. Life can be lovely and lighthearted, but also rough. I also disagree with the comments on illegal immigrants. I think our biggest problem is lack of investment in the future. So Anglo does agree that it's 70-30 lighthearted. So that's what it is. You have to try to focus on that positive stuff, Anglo. I know it's hard. Life is hard right now. The world is like messed up right now. There's lots of stuff to worry about. There's lots of stuff you can get caught up in. And the social media stuff and the algorithms and the news sensations and the politicians and they're, not helping any of the situations. They're just feeding us more and more toxicity and more devastation and doom and gloom. So we have to take it upon ourselves to just make sure that we're intentional and focused on the good stuff. Yeah, 14 years old. This is ridiculous. Some of the things we let people do, and then we don't let them drink till they're 21. Anglo, I do agree with you. You are absolutely right that there are more guns than people in America at the moment. However, not everyone has one. The thing is that lots of people have like 2 or 3 that own guns, and then there's people like me who never owned a gun. So that's how it works out that way. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There are more guns than people's, and that is a fact that has been proven several times. Mick says that the Monty Python tune is going to be stuck in his head for the rest of the night. You're going to be waking up singing it. Piper says, Arrow is the one with the holes in the chocolate, and Arrow Mousse is similar, not liquidy, but very light. Yeah. Oh, it's got like air bubbles or something in it, right? That's the one I can't remember the one with the Crispies in it. Some Anglo says someone who has a repeat offender for bad crimes have to go. I'm sorry, I don't agree. I think there's a better investment in rehabilitation on some level. And I agree that there are people who are beyond rehabilitation, by all means, but I just don't agree with taking someone's life. But I appreciate the debate, the honest, like good faith debate. Emojin says that 43,000 pounds per taxpayer is nonsense. That would be 1.5 trillion a year, not 2.2 billion, which it is. All right. Well, I mean, let's do, we'll have to do a fact check on that. Anglo-Saxon says diversity is our downfall, unity is our strength. By far. Like, we're not going to survive if we don't unify as a human race. I'm saying, like, we have to figure it out. I'm sorry. I maybe I misunderstood your comment, Anglo, but Piper says that Anglo-Saxon, I think you have a very different point of view. I completely disagree with you. I have to say diversity is strength. When I say diversity is downfall, in agreement with Anglo, just to clarify my position, not to speak for that person at all, I'm talking about letting our differences divide us in a time when we should be unifying as a race. But diversity itself, yeah, I mean, being exposed to all different cultures, religions, points of view, having these types of discussions with people who have different points of view, and airing it all out. That by far, I agree with you on that, Piper. That is an asset in the day-to-day world. But in order to survive as a race, we need to start finding our commonalities and working on that, in my opinion. Yeah, I hear you, Rodden. And I'm not just saying this because you agree with me, but we have to take responsibility for some of the things that we've done. And I'm not saying that we don't have to be responsible in our decisions moving forward in that responsibility, but we also have to be realistic and be honest with ourselves that a lot of this stuff we had a hand in creating a lot of havoc in the world. The United States did anyways. Again, I'm not a scholar in the UK history and politics, so I can't speak to that, but so Anglo says, and forgive me, Anglo, I'm gonna combine both of your comments. I think this is what you mean, but again, let me know if it's wrong. I don't have a problem with blacks and browns, but don't come here representing your country. You fled and disrespect ours. Look at the prison stats. I'm sure there's people that are immigrants and expats and refugees that commit crimes. But I also think that, as I said earlier, that there are other factors involved. I don't think it's just that the fact that they're refugees or they're immigrants, that's why they're committing crimes. Because I think that if you take care of people's well-being on a whole, I think then the crime rate would be affected in a negative way, affected as a downward spiral. Yeah. Hi, Scurrier. Thanks for joining. Free speech to a degree can't just go around saying anything, but that's how people lose their jobs. No, see, I'm a little bit more of a free speech absolutist. Not an absolutist, but I grew up watching people who were neo-Nazis parade and speak hate and be free to do so in America. And I also grew up watching newsreels and reading articles about Ku Klux Klan members walking the streets safely to express their views. So I don't have a problem. I have a problem with both of those groups personally, but I do believe in everyone's right to free speech as long as it's not inciting hate or violence. And I do agree it's a fine line, and it's a different line for everybody, personally, and also for every state and country. But the crackdown and people losing their jobs for some random thing they put on social media that is not directly affected to their position or their livelihood or their work is ridiculous. That's a crackdown on free speech. They should be able to say what they want to say. All right. Yeah, I have to go. We're way over time. I have to go. And if I stay, I'm going to eat the rest of this. So I'm going to say, we're going to end it there. I hope everyone overall, I thank you everybody for joining, and thank you for having a different opinion, and let's have have a respectful debate. I'm all for that. Thank you for being a part of that. And thank you for being honest and not, sugarcoating it and telling me how you really feel. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much, everybody. Overall, I just want to end by saying, look, I said this in my video yesterday. Hate spreads really, really fast, and hate is like wildfire. So if we don't contain it, if we're not diligent and vigilant about it, it's going to spread all over the world. And we're not going to be any better for it. We're actually probably going to end up being worse for it. So we have to be consciously trying to put good things out there, trying to spread love, trying to spread hope, and just trying to be there for each other. Okay. And have these honest, open discussions in a respectful place. And that's all I can say. I mean, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a motivational speaker or anything like that. I just really, truly believe in that. But I do appreciate everyone joining me, and I do appreciate everyone being honest, whether they agree with me or not. This is how we grow, and this is how we learn, this is how we move forward. So thank you all, as always. And the show's only good when you guys are here. I'm gonna take next week off. No live show next week. I got some stuff going on, so I'm gonna take a break next week, but I will be back on the 24th. But there's gonna be tons of videos and stuff coming out as well. So you don't worry, you'll still get your Mandy fix. That was so corny and stupid. Okay, I'm gonna end it there, you guys. I'm getting tired. I hope you guys are all have a wonderful rest of your week and a great next week. Make sure you stay safe, spread the love. If there's anything I can do to help, just put it in the comments, send me an email, put it out there, go to the website, send me an email from there. Love you all so much. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.